name
YoungBo.
in Korea.
Oh, it's your Korean, like your
Yeah,
Korean
it's
name or
my
something.
actual Korean name. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because it kind of sounds like I thought it was like Young Thug or something.
Really? You
Because
thought I
because
came
you
up with
spelled it
something?
like young, like is young when you spell young in like a when you translate Korean to English, do you use Young for the
Yeah,
romanization normally?
I believe so. Cause
Interesting.
yeah, I yeah, I didn't really change my name. It's just way it spells in, kind of and sounds in Korean, Youngbo.
Oh,
And yeah, I didn't change. I never used my other name or any other name other than Youngbo because Youngbo is Korean also. But at the same time, it's easy to say in English. So I
hmm.
didn't have to use like, a lot of people like, I think from Korea, a lot of people come to other state or, you know, like different countries. I think they tend to use English name like John, Alex, something like really common.
Hmm.
But I never, yeah. It's either Youngbo or YB because YB is sometimes like, even when I say Youngbo, it's like I need to spell it out, So I just say YB.
Yeah, fair enough. It's
Yeah.
just so it's really funny to me that I thought it was like your rapper name or something.
Oh, when I say YB, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's such a cool name." Like why
That's
is
what
it
I'm
a
saying.
YG?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. It's like well, you
yeah,
had the YB and then the Young Bo, and I was like, damn, this guy is fucking badass. It's so cool.
I wish. I wish.
Also to be fair, like I mean, like I've been in Korea for 2 years, and my biggest weakness is people's names. Like I think when you're like learning a language and trying to get used to a culture, like names are there's so many variations of different names. Like I
Yeah.
got the basics down. Like some are really consistent, and like those ones I've got, but like
Mhm.
some, if I've never heard like a every moment in a conversation in Korean, I'm holding on for dear life. So when you throw in like a name, I'm like, is that like a thing? Is that a is that an animal? Is that a like what are we talking about here? I'm like, because I have it's
I
just a
see. I see.
random word, to me.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Is like Korean names. It's almost like I'm overthinking it so many times. Like almost sometimes how a Korean you could talk to a Korean in perfectly fine Korean as a foreigner,
Hmm.
and they just don't even imagine that you could be speaking Korean. They
Korean.
think you're going to
Yeah.
speak English, so
Yeah.
they don't understand anything you're saying because their brain is trying to interpret it as like English. You know?
Maybe, yeah, maybe they could be coming from the stereotype that people have. A lot of Koreans still do, even though like now Korea is so popular that like a lot of people from other countries are learning Korean and
Mm,
visiting Korea, after learning Korean. So like they have some basics. Yeah, even to me, it's kind of amazed to see how like now I see from TikTok that a lot of foreigners they have really good Koreans like with no accent, and they haven't really been to Korea or they are planning to eventually, but it's really crazy still. I can't like
yeah.
believe how. I mean, I think for me it's really even more because when I came to US, it was 2013. It was over what 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and when I came here, K-pop it was a thing, but not to a lot of people. Not to like nowadays global. Like everybody knows, like it plays in U.S. radio market anywhere. It wasn't like that. It was kind of like a thing that people who are into like Asian countries, either Japan with the animes, ramen, sushi, whatever, or Korea with the K-pop or little K-dramas. But it was not as big as anime people. But now it's I think they definitely K-pop um, or people who love Korea is way bigger than anime. Um, I think so. I
Yeah,
can like
I'd be
really feel the
curious to see
difference.
those numbers. But I mean, hey, it was what is this? This new like K-pop Demon Hunter is number 2 of all time
Mm.
on Netflix. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's a crazy.
That is that's an unbelievable statistic.
It's insane.
I called my like I've been like it even I guess I don't know maybe I'm a little bit too hipster for my own good. Like I called my sister. I've been talking about Korea for years that I've been living there, and
Hmm.
I've been like I love it. This is like, these are the things I love about it. Like, no one's listening to me. My family thinks I'm ridiculous for living in Asia. They're like, why you can't speak, like, you can't speak the language, all this stuff. Why? And I'm like, you just don't, it's just amazing for me. I love it. And
Hmm.
I'm trying to explain it to them and nothing, zero reception. And then suddenly the other day I call my sister and she has two kids. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? She's like, oh, we're obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunter or whatever. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, she's like, yeah, like, Joey, my nephew wants to do Taekwondo now. And my little niece
Wow.
is like singing, well, listening to K-pop now. And I'm like, bro, I've literally been trying to like, you know, preach the gospel for years and no one listens. It takes this like K-pop fantasy kind of stuff to trigger the the masses to like pay attention, to swarm to it. But number two on Netflix, that is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
I'm curious from your perspective, like as like I don't know, do you think of the world sometimes? Let me actually ask you this first. Do you ever think of the world like from a Korean perspective, and then from like a newer like from a perspective of like now that you've lived in the States and you have a more westernized view of the world at some time, like you have the ability to see both, or is it just like, do you consider just like one perspective?
I do believe that I have ability to, you know, see from either Korean or US. Not fully. I mean, if I say, if I'm being completely honest, I think I was born and raised in Korea, so 20 years I was in Korea. So obviously my Korean, identity is way stronger than my westernized identity. So I can say like I could see more view from Korean perspective, but at the same time I understand from Western perspective. And then people who, as a Korean, do not see, I see more.
Mm.
Because I experienced, I learn by living here and then making friends here, talking to people here, and then working here. You know, so obviously some area I could be kind of gray or like not know compared to people who live in Korea, like my friends from high school, middle school, because they've been living in Korea forever, ever since they were born, and they've been there and then working there, so they are completely culture as a Korean. But me, on the other hand, it's not completely. So I might not understand some kind of culture because, to be completely honest, I never worked in Korea like full
Mm.
time. I've had a part time job in Korea back then, but never worked full time. So it could be a little different, but I could definitely see both sides.
Yeah, yeah. And that also kind of opens up an interesting idea of like even acknowledging that there are like two perspectives. I feel like in the US we're so, and I'm sure you've seen this now being here, like diversity is like everything. It's like every day you go out into the world and everyone is thinking differently, like all the time. Even people like, let's say even two people who are of Korean ethnicity, or if two people who are of white ethnicity, like it doesn't matter, like you could have two totally different ways of perceiving the world. That's like this I mean, like in an unbelievably different way, right? But in Korea I do feel like sometimes I even feel weird talking about Korean culture, because from an American lens I almost feel it's like it's kind of like grouping everyone into one category in a sense.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like after living in Korea, I do feel like there's some justification to the idea that like Korea is a sort of collective society and tries to maintain like a much narrower spectrum of like ways, like behaviors and cultural identity and stuff than like in the
Hmm.
US. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of, I mean, I agree with you. And as a Korean living in Korea and came to US, I see definitely different things because
Mm.
US, like you said, it's more like individuals rather than group. So people are more free. They're free to show themselves, like their individualism. So, and nobody really cares. Like if you are outstanding from many different ways, it could be like good way, bad way, weird way, like whatever. It depends on how people think outstanding. people do not care here. Like let's say you wear like cosplay, Halloween, or whatever day, like Friday, Saturday, whatever. People don't care. Like, look, okay, pass by. But in Korea, people do care about other people's perspective or how other people think about you. Because I think it's a culture thing that our root base is Korea is a farming society. Except for the ruling class back in the day, everybody else, like 80%, 90% people were like, farming. And at that time, it was important to work together. So I think grouping was kind of important. You don't want to be outstanding. You want to be kind of mixed in the group. That's like, we grew up, I think, believe that that's important, to be like mixed in the blend in the group. So you don't want to be outstanding. So everybody, like if you see Korean society, like since you were young, like for me at least, like for my generation, for us it was like study. Like elementary school, go to school. What do you do after school? You go to hagwon, which is private school. Middle school, it's getting worse. They have a kwae. Kwae is like a one-on-one teaching session with one of the like university school kid from Seoul, Yonsei, Korea, or like those like kind of popular universities in Seoul, and you learn like one-on-one session. And high school even worse. You spend like extra amount of money for studying. And then high school, I don't know if they still do. They do something called the yaja, which is you have a regular class, right? It's done by 3 to 4 p.m. and then we have an extra class, a couple more till like 6 or 7 p.m. and then we take dinner. And then we have study hours. That's called the yaga. Yaja, yagan 자율학습, which is like 3 hours until like 10 p.m. at night.
Is this where like study rooms come in?
No, it's not study room, but it's more like you have a classroom, right? Then everybody just stay there, being quiet and study like on your own
until 10 p.m.
Until 10 p.m. Yeah, that was not like really forced to do it, but like it was kind of forced. Yeah.
So maybe like not enforced by the school, but maybe the parents put a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So that's maybe like growing up in that culture, maybe that's making us like more like grouping, not want to be outstanding individual.
It's like, well, it's interesting because you want to be outstanding in your education. Like you want to, right? You want to get the highest grade. You want to be the top scorer.
Yeah, but only that way.
Right.
Only that. Yeah.
Well, and that's like an interesting, honestly, that is a huge, interesting philosophical topic that we definitely don't even have time to scratch the surface of here. But like, like what is worth, everyone I think decides what's worth it, but like what's a distraction from what you want out of life, and what's actually like, what's worth being different, and what's worth like just falling in line, focusing, and just like not putting too much effort into something else, into like trying to like I think in the US, like we're juggling so many hats. We're like trying to be cool, like dress nice, like, follow like sports, and follow, our friend group, and follow music, and follow we have so many things that we're trying to follow. It's like hard for us to like we're not like all in on one thing. Whereas in Korea, it sounds like for young people, and I've heard this a million times, and it's always kind of the same story. It sounds like most people, it's just school. Like that's your, you have maybe some like passion that you get to follow on the side, like for in your own world, in your own lane, but it's not like, you're not like generally sharing that with a lot of people.
No.
Yeah. Except for, it seems like Pishibang, because there's a lot of kids in the Pishibang.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I used to go, play
really?
games with my friends. Yeah, all the time when I was in middle school, high school.
My ex Minji, she was a hagwon teacher, And I used to go to the PC Bang. My laptop broke and I didn't want to buy a new one yet. So I'd go to the PC Bang
Uh-huh.
to do coding.
Uh-huh.
And it was in the same building that she worked in. And it was funny because she would come down on like a lunch break or after work or something. And she would see her students in the PC Bang and she would scold them, you know? She'd be like, you know, like, cause they're like sneaking into the PC Bang, like, you know, supposed to be studying or like, or sometimes it's funny cause you'll see a mom roll through the PC Bang super like determined to find her
Imagine.
kid. Oh. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
I can
it's
imagine.
like 9 p.m. and the mom comes in like, where I know you're in here somewhere. Like,
That'd
but
be
so I guess
terrifying.
kids do kind of have their own little rebellion against like for what path they want to go to. But even those things seem generally like pretty linear. Like I like, you know, kids definitely like games, K-pop,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
whatever.
I think I don't know. I never been to a U.S. high school, but
Mm,
from what I heard is when you go to school, you have to choose like one sports or something like something one um, something like you can do like activities kind of thing. It doesn't have to be sports, but like you have those time to do it or like whatever you want.
mm,
But in Korea, on the other hand, we don't really have that. Like it's fully focused on study, unless you are dreaming other stuff since you were young. But that's not for many people. That's
mm,
for only few people. What I think is, I feel like our parent generation, the way they grew up, like 70s, 80s, it was like Korea was growing like rapidly, like crazy at the time. As China opened their trading market up, Korea was following through. Korea got super benefit by China, and our society grew up, like economy grew up so fast. And at the time, when my parent generation, when they were living like younger, when they were 20s, 30s, if they study hard, if they got into good company, whatever job, you were able to like save enough money, support four people and family, buy a car, buy a house, like everything. So in their mind, like that should be my, because you want your kids to thrive, right?
of
So that's
course.
how they learn to be like at where they at. So all they can do is like just pushing them study, unless they see something different. But our school system already doesn't allow us to see the different pathway, because it's a fully focused studying since we were younger. So we don't even have opportunity to like dream something else. But we started even as a young kid, elementary school, like fully focused on study, and our parents are pushing us to study, and even school system allows parents to push. And nowadays, if you talk to Korean people to get a job, it's really, really, really difficult. It's not even compared to whatever we are going through in US for looking for a job. It's like you're not only working on your resume, your cover letter, but also you have to get like a lot of different certificate and TOEIC, TOEFL, or whatever English certificate, Chinese, Japanese, whatever, like whatever possibly you can get to get into company. And even then, that
Headshot.
the yeah that monthly pay is not enough for you to like buy a house in Seoul. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
pretty sad. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. I think like to me, Seoul, well, actually not just quickly, but I feel like Seoul and New York have that in common in a lot of ways. But Seoul and to me and New York are quite similar. But so now as an adult, like do you look back on that education and do you feel like it was justified at all? Do you feel like you're glad that you went through that, or do you wish that it was different?
I honestly wish it was different. It would have been, um, but I mean, at the same time, you never know. Because I'm who I am, and I am where I am because I've been through whatever I've been through.
Of
because
course.
if I went through something different in my high school, middle school by education system, my life would have been different. So I can't really say that, I wish it was different, but you know, you never know. It would have been interesting if I learned from maybe different education system or less like pressure to study to go to university because that's I believe that's more than 80% of Korean people's dream. Like what they do is like study hard to go to a good university with a good major and then
Like
get a good
Sky,
job.
right?
Yeah, Sky. That's why they're regulating I think the spot of doctors, and they're because obviously doctor is like physician is the top ideal job, high salary job, or
Hmm.
lawyer. So it's really like super competitive. That's why Korean society is like super competitive.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, like everyone's in school, everyone is working their ass off trying to compete to get into the best programs, to get into the best job, etc. And yeah, so then you kind of like go up until college where you're regulated by your parents, by your teachers. Teachers, like from my experience, teachers and parents have like close relationships. That's not really like in the States, for example. Like just to go back to some stuff you said before, like in the US, there's no requirements, right? So you can choose to have some extracurricular activities, clubs and stuff, but
Hmm.
you don't have to. You could like for me in my case, I literally went to school, came home and played video games. Like that was my whole childhood.
Hmm.
And but like there were kids that, did theater clubs, there were kids that did political clubs, book clubs, fantasy clubs, all this kind of stuff, right?
Hmm.
Which is not something that I think you see in Korea, at least until like college, right? College is when I
Yeah.
think Koreans unlock. And I mean, I've actually had some pretty amazing, deep conversations about how college is just such a major shift for Korean people from this regimented, like very pressured life of like having everyone looking over your shoulder to now you have like freedom, like sexual freedom, friend, like activity freedom. Like you, obviously there's the pressure of school, but the world kind of opens up in a lot of ways, right?
Yes, I believe so because college, it's kind of weird thing, but what Korean parents do is like once you get into college, now they don't touch you. They don't touch
Mm.
you until a certain point, right? So you can drink legally, and now like once you know kind of interesting thing about Korean college compared to U.S. college. I haven't really experienced my like Korean college because I never went to Korean college, but I heard
Mm.
from my sister and my friends. So they're really different systems. So once you go in to the college, unlike U.S. college, you choose major and school at the same time. So you don't explore when you go to college. You choose your major and then go to college, right?
Mm.
And there are already people in your major. They could be sophomore, junior, or senior. There are some like people in your major, right? And they all know each other pretty much. And they have a meeting before the school starts. They call the orientation OT, and then they meet up all together with all the freshmen who go to college at the time and that same major. And that's the time that you make friends.
During the,
And
yeah.
you yeah, so those kind of thing is like really different compared to US because like we don't have that here. It's
Yeah,
like
and
you
then
go to
that
college.
sounds like even how it continues, right? Then after college, it's like it's interesting because college. It feels like in Korea, one big difference I think, in Americans have an ability to like have a wide net of friends from a lot of different places, whereas in my experience, many Koreans, life is like you said, at that point you make that choice, and your whole path of like friends, the people you date, like everything kind of branches from that decision, you know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is really interesting.
It is.
Very interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so I think like what I'm thinking is like my general take that I'm like, I'm refining it as I go because I'm really trying to understand. But in my eyes, like when it comes to the like a there's like a spectrum of human personalities. I mean, it's like a matrix. I hate to
Hmm.
try to bring up these crazy ideas, but like very many spectrums. And then, but like if you could theoretically put it on one spectrum and have like the most one person who is the most different here, and then the opposite person like over here, and this is like the most weird, distant people possible, right? The most different people possible,
Hmm.
like, and then everyone else is kind of in between, right? These 2 points, and it's like the US to me feels like it's trying to be at both extremes. You have like the two most different people in the world probably live in the US,
Hmm.
right? Because they're not just weird, like they've uncovered like ways of thinking that are only achievable by like being different in 50 different from different 50 different ways.
Hmm.
But like Korea, it's like there are like I think what is like kind of hard is like Korea has difference. Like people there it's not like everyone in Korea is the same, which I think is about like a lot of times comes off like when people talk about Korea, it's like, oh, everyone has the same culture, the same like ideas, this, that. But I think it also is never talked about how like even I think Korea is just it's in this big spectrum, but it's just like a small sliver of it. But it doesn't mean that there's everyone's the same. There's still a lot of different types of people, just in a much
Yes.
smaller range, you know?
Yes, of
And
course.
yeah. And so like I don't know, how do you what would you think are like the major like archetypes of Koreans just for just for fun? Like what do you think like for example, maybe there's like we could just say what easy one, right? Like Hongdae guy, right? That's
Oh, the
like
guy.
that's like one very public talked about, kind of guy in like
Hmm.
in Korea, He so goes clubbing, has like speaks English, like, whatever, and all the things that go along with that.
Um, I don't know. I feel like what one thing I notice is when I speak Korean to Korean stranger, and when I speak English to English stranger, my attitude is kind of different. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
speak Korean to a stranger, I am more like I don't know if it's just like Korean thing or you know how like Koreans are. Oh, like when you meet first time, like really polite, really like
Right.
respectful. Oh, 안녕하세요, 네, 감사합니다. You know, and but in Korea, I mean in English, in US, you don't do that. You don't bow or like oh what's up. Like even though like it's a stranger, you just say like casually say what's up, man. Oh, how's it going? Or nice to meet you. Like bye. It's kind of like dry. Like that's I think that's one thing I noticed too. Like when I hear Korean, sometimes I just like look, you know, in
Hmm.
US and I feel more comfortable. Like my gesture changes.
Hmm.
Like we have I don't know how to explain in English, but in Korea we have it, I'm not sure if you know. We call the chong.
Jong.
You
Oh,
know
I made a
chong?
whole video
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. I think we have that kind of thing like chong.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah. So like back then, it was way different. Like we know neighbors. Like when you move into new area, you pass out. You bring those like we went to um this rice cake place, and then we get a bunch of shirutak, which is like a red bean
Hmm.
red bean rice cake, and then you give that to neighbors, just saying
Right.
that oh like we just moved in, like you know let's like be well together type of. And we had that, but now it's more like an individual you know like individualism is getting bigger in Korea nowadays. Like we don't do that anymore. I think once you move into apartment or whatever. But even then, we still have that kind of chong. I think that's a kind of different um, identity that Koreans people have. I believe.
Yeah, I always say that I think like Korea is built off of like core values, and then people like play around on the fringes, but they never really leave those core values. And that's actually, if you had to ask, like, that's maybe one of my favorite things about Korea is like, it's, I really, at this point, like, I lived in San Diego, for example. Dude, I lived in downtown, had a really nice apartment downtown, and like, you know, at night, I'm trying to sleep and I could smell the crystal meth just coming up through my window. And I'm just like, how is this possible? Like, and it's just like, there's no sense of like communal health, communal well-being, communal, like, because even I understand that those people, they're going through a horrible tragedy in life if they're smoking crystal meth. But there's not even a second thought about the fact that like I don't want to do crystal meth, So
Yeah.
it's like they're just smoking it outside of my house, like allowing the smoke to come into my house, not thinking like, oh, there's a guy in there that probably doesn't want this to affect him in his life. And I feel like even just like making that like a much smaller example, like cigarettes, in Korea, I always have this vivid memory of this girl, and I was in a cafe in Seongsu, and this girl, she was very different than everyone else. Had like fully tattooed, very kind of like gothic style. She was Korean. A lot of piercings in like in places that you wouldn't expect. And I was very curious about her. Just you never see that really. So not that often, and especially like in a cafe in Seongsu. So I was like, interesting. And at some point she left to go smoke a cigarette. And I was just, I'm just observing, like I'm a people watcher. So I'm just like observing her. And she like literally goes to like the smoking area to smoke. And I'm like, that's so fascinating because I feel like if I was just to judge this situation as an American, I would think, okay, this person is like she's kind of got like a rebellious mindset. She doesn't really care about what other people think or what other people do. So she's just going to do whatever she wants, the most convenient thing, which is going to go smoke right in front of this cafe here. And everyone's going to smell the cigarette. That's how it would be in the US. But she just like she went all the way to the smoking area, smoked there, just did her thing, and then came back. And I was like, to me, that's like, dong, it's like, even though you could be so different, have such different styles, such different maybe ideas about what's right and wrong of like your society, you still have this like fundamental respect and bond with the people that are around you, and you're going to respect that, and that's really beautiful to me, I think.
I think I mean, that could be one, but that is not for everyone. Not all the Koreans are like that. There are still like bad ones, and you know, people who don't care about other people. Obviously, like smoking, you brought it as an example, and yeah, obviously, I used to smoke cigarettes too. I'm Korean. I grew up in Korea. I don't smoke anymore, but when I turned 20, when I was able to go to place to drink, we were able to drink at the restaurant at the time, in the restaurant, any restaurants, even in Seoul. And then after like 2014 or 15, I think they started regulating the cigarettes on the street. You can only smoke in a certain area, and so that was not really a long time ago that regulating cigarettes, because as you know, living in Korea, there's so many people on the street like smoking cigarettes, especially if you go to those like Young Street, Hongdae or Itaewon, or I don't know like many areas in Seoul, but those popular areas, like if you walk around, people just smoking cigarettes, walking around, or just smoking outside.
Well, to me, Hongdae and Itaewon, I understand it's Korea. I don't even consider it Korea.
It's a
Like to
different
me,
culture.
that's like international waters. It's like that area
Yeah.
is like that's like a special designated zone for like where anything goes. Korea, I think like because like there's no way if I mean I'm just thinking of like, okay, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a Korean, like if I grew up in Korea, like had especially if I'm in my 20s or whatever, and I'm like drinking or whatever. Like if I just you have I think everyone has like rebellious moments in their life. If I go to Itaewon and I see these foreigners acting like psychos in Itaewon, like I'm probably gonna think that's cool. Like that's how I think I would have worked if I was like in my. I mean, that's how I worked when I was younger. My brain
Yeah.
was like very like, So I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I want to be like that.
Yeah.
But I think then you go back to Korea, like where it's like 98%, 99% Koreans, and I think people then like kind of revert back into their like normal way, like their everyday way of like interacting with society.
I mean, I think yeah, I totally agree with you. Young guys, I was younger once, and that's all you think about. Like the reason why you go out, ultimate reason. Everybody knows. And even in Korea, I'm not sure if you've been to those. Have you heard of hunting pocha?
Yeah.
Hunting
Well,
pocha.
not I
Yeah,
haven't heard of the pocha, but I know hunting concept and I know
yeah.
pocha, so I guess
Hunting
I'm fine.
concept. Yeah, hunting concept. Hunting concept. Then
Yeah.
hunting pocha is like the bar made specifically for that purpose.
Is it like
Isn't it crazy?
Jongno?
I don't know. Like I haven't really been those hunting pocha. The last time I've been was long time ago when I was in Korea. Maybe 2015 or 2016 or something like that. It's almost like 10 years ago. At the time there was a hunting. I'm not sure if they still do exist, but there's a hunting pocha. They had a iPad, right? You can take a picture. It's a room type of a bar, and then you can take a picture, and then you can put your how many people in the group, and then you can register, and then you can start chatting from people from other room,
That
and
is so
then
efficient. I love that.
yeah, then if you are matching number, or even if you don't match the number, if you agree to, then you can continue meeting in person and drinking together, something like that.
I mean, like this is a breakaway from what we were talking about, but hey, like honestly, this concept is amazing. I feel like this is just real life Tinder or like real life Bumble or something. And I feel like I've always wondered, like literally I've thought to myself throughout my whole life up until this point, why, like, I get that we have online dating, but why are we not doing like more localized online dating in like real time? Like, why are we not, yeah, like that? Like, why are we not using these tools like when we go out it would make everything way better, I think, for people if like you go to a
That's
bar,
true.
you get to be in that environment, but then you also like instead of having to just get hit on by random people or whatever, you actually have some tool like technology tool to like help you, have less awkward encounters.
That's true.
It's so actually, first of all, I love the idea. Um, it's just like, and now I've never heard of that. I've never seen that before, but I
Maybe it
have.
doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, it's a great idea. I think like nowadays you have like a lot of in Korea. There's like a lot of speed dating.
Mhm.
That's a big thing. I've
Oh,
never done
really?
it. Yeah, I've never done it, but a lot of my foreigner friends, they'll do like speed dating, or they go to.
Like 소개팅?
I get. Is
It's
that what
like,
like
do
blind
you,
date?
do you call it like, yeah, blind date, like 소개팅,
It's like
or
blind date, but like you don't. It's not like you get matched beforehand. You go there and then they sit down. You sit
and then
down
if
with like
you
a
like
random
them,
person.
then continue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah. But yeah, Korea. I mean, well, anyway, like in the college. Yeah, this is all like I think college. Like going back to what we were talking about before. Like I think college is the time where Koreans are like unleashing this
Yeah,
in
that's
themselves as well. Like,
that's spot on.
and one thing that's really wild is like I feel like I learned how to be a person. Like I learned how to navigate social situations in my younger years. Like I learned how emotional intelligence, I learned, like personal interpersonal relationships, even like romantic relationships. I learned about all that stuff when I was in middle school, in high school. And it built up over time. It wasn't just like a sudden snap and I'm like confronted with this. So I'm kind of curious, like in Korea, like is it just 0 to 100? Like, Like you have no training and you just get let go onto this campus and you're just like now what?
I think it's a different because you don't really in Korea, like I said, it's a fully focused on study. I mean, people still do dating in middle school and high school, but compared to actually, I can't really say because I haven't really dated when I was in middle school, high school. I had someone that I was talking to, but it wasn't really serious. And
Was it like
like,
something that your parents allowed? Or like is that why you didn't do it or was it just like
I think it's because more like, how, Korea is still a conservative society. And as you know, a lot of Koreans, um, live with their parents, and especially when you're younger, like middle school, high school, you don't really have a like full freedom from your parents. You always have to have excuse to go out or whatsoever. And like when you said you have a boyfriend, girlfriend in middle school, high school, they always kind of tell you, oh, like you need to focus on studying.
how
Study
would
is
you
number
think about
one.
like lying to the because
I
I
think
feel like that's what we would do
I'm
here.
sure people do lie, but even then, it's
Yeah.
just not. It's not as much because even kids were, growing up, kind of um, getting pressed by parents about studying. So
Right.
people normally like a lot of Korean people who they have that mindset until high school. So until graduate high school. So that's why it's like you said, it's unleashed. And university, like I said, parents do not care as much. So, and then once they go to other university, you are living far from your parents. So you're completely free. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
it gets more different. And that's the point that people, I think, start learning, I believe.
Yeah. Plus you can drink at 18, right? So
Exactly.
it's unlike in the
After high
States. In the
school.
States, we have to hide it and wait until 21. We're
Yeah,
post
I
college.
think, yeah, that's what I noticed about like difference between Korea and US is like when I came here, like everybody's just drinking at the house, like house party. It's so popular, it's so
Mm.
common. Why? Because
That's why. Yeah.
You can drink. Yeah, you can drink when you're 18, 19. And when you are a freshman, it's 18, 19 until 21. So everybody just throw the house party, drinking at house. And that's why I think US drinking game is you know, more action, like beer pong, like King's Cup, like Rage Cage. You move around with your whole body, but rather than Korean drinking game, everybody's sitting inside at the bar. You can just play with the 20 of people or 10 people. It doesn't matter the number. It's just there are so many different games that you can play sitting around. I think that's
Interesting.
the main different drinking culture I notice.
Hmm. Yeah. Actually, I don't know much about the drinking games because I actually don't drink much personally. I do enjoy soju because
I love soju.
yeah. I like okay because I'm trying to figure out right now. Like, there's a big thing in Korea. It's like I think it's just the trend aspect of it. Like pretty much anyone over the age of 30 in Korea seems like I'm 34. So anyone that I hang out with that's over the age of 30 seems like they love soju. But anyone under the age of 30 seems like they're like soju sucks. So I'm like, is this just because it's like the traditional drink and people are annoyed by it, or is it just like
I
I'm trying
think
to figure that out.
I don't know about other people, but for my personal experience, I think soju is just really good with the Korean food, you know.
Oh, that's so true.
And yeah, soju is just so good. It's just like how Korean drinking culture is. Most important thing is like food.
Hmm.
Anju, what do you drink with? Like, you don't normally decide what are we gonna drink. You decide what are we gonna eat
Right.
with the drink.
Right.
So, and as you get older, as you make more money, as you start working and to make more money, then you're spending better quality of food, you know. And like Korean food in general, any Korean food is really good with soju. So I think, and as you're spending more money, like of the better quality of food, your taste bud is getting better when it comes to Korean food. So just soju is the only right soju or beer is the thing that you just drink. I think that's what it is for me. I don't know about other people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's definitely like if I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna drink soju, and I like it because I think it's not as strong as like a lot of the drinks you drink in the US. So, and it's like you get more it's like you almost get more action out of it. Like like if you take a shot in the States, it's like, oh shit. Like, okay, we're gonna do tequila shots. Like, how many we're gonna do? 5, and then I'm wasted. Like, and that's, you could do 5 soju shots easy, and it's like just, get through so much. Like you've just been through so much. And it's also like I feel like the fear for me, like when I take a shot of tequila, it's like, again, it's like, fuck, like, okay, let's do it, Whereas soju, it's just like, oh, like, okay, let's do another one. And it's like, there's no fear or like sense of like, oh, now I'm gonna have to like, is this too much? Like, at least that's how I feel. And that creates like a very easygoing vibe, I think, with soju. So I'm never worried about it really.
I mean, I think soju is, tequila shot, you said, tequila shot or whiskey shot, it's just not good. Like, let's do, like, come on. Like, nobody says, oh, like, I love whiskey shot because it's so good. I mean, if it's a really good whiskey that you really like the whiskey, I get it. Like, you could, but even I mean, if it's a really good whiskey, you wouldn't take a shot out of it. You would enjoy differently. But when you take the shot, those are kind of cheaper whiskey, vodka, or tequila, and it's not good. It's just like you are trying to party. You want to get kind of drunk or tipsy to feel a certain type of way. And when you're drinking soju, it's good with the food. It's actually good when you're drinking with the good food. It's even it makes this. I think it's better for me at least. So it's just it's not comparable. I think for me, like those whiskey or tequila shot to soju shot. Soju shot is, I mean, like you said, it's way whiskey shot and tequila shots are way stronger compared to soju shots. Soju is what 18%, 19%, and tequila.
Maybe it's less even.
Maybe it could be less. I could be wrong.
I think it's like wine. Maybe 15, 16, I think.
Yeah, 15. Around the 15 to 18, I think, range. But I think that's for me.
What's your go-to soju brand?
Mine is Jinno. It's a blue bottle.
Oh, the blue frog.
Frog, yeah.
Yeah. I do that too, but I like the sugar-free. Do you ever drink sugar-free soju?
Zero.
Oh, Zero. Yeah.
Zero. I had a sugar-free soju, but I'm not sure if it's true. But I saw that it doesn't matter if you drink sugar-free soju or the regular soju because the calories like similar either way.
Oh, I do it for the hangover.
Oh.
I noticed that when I drink zero, like the zero soju, I have way less of a hangover than if I drink the non-zero.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Something to
but
try out the
I
next
don't really
time.
mind. Yeah, I don't mind drinking any soju, to be honest. But I prefer blue bottle.
So back in college, wait, so did you go to this college in the States or in?
Yeah, I did.
You did. I'm wondering like if college kids are just like drinking soju the way we would drink soju at like a pocha or
in Korea.
Like,
no, so now the younger kids, the thing what they do is they buy flavored soju. Like college kids in US, they drink flavored soju, not the non-flavor one. I haven't really seen anybody drinking, at least from college when I was in college, drinking non-flavored soju other than myself or my friends that I introduced soju and beer. A lot of kids just buy a pack of soju, which is 6 bottles in one case for a different flavor, and they just drink like that, like out of bottle or just make a shot.
Oh,
Because especially for, I mean, flavor soju is easier to drink or sip on, but somek, I only drink it and then my friends know because of me, because I make it for them. And yeah.
Somek is like my default, you know.
Somek is so good. If you make it right, it's so good.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I make it right because I only one.
I mean, as long as it's good to you, that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I feel like it's been interesting. I've definitely been curious about, like, you know, I have a YouTube channel. I talk a lot about Korea, and I talk a lot about Koreans because I do feel like mostly the reason is because I live in Korea. Like, I want to really understand the people that I'm surrounded by, you know? And I think if I was the US, I would never really talk about America. I feel like I can't talk about Americans. Like, I feel like if maybe I could talk about a city, I could say the New Yorkers or San Diegans. That to me feels a lot more like reasonable of a statement. But to say Americans feels so like, it doesn't feel like it makes sense to me. But to say Koreans, for whatever reason, it feels like it makes more sense to me. So I've been kind of trying to figure that out in my own head. Like, that's kind of, I guess, why I asked this to you, is like, I feel like it really does feel like when you talk about Koreans generally, like, there are some things that you can generally say about Korean culture that will be pretty true for most Koreans, which is not that true for the like Americans, you know?
I believe. I see your point. I think that could be because of the culture. Because if you think about Korea and versus US, just from my perspective, how I see is Korea has a long history of the culture.
That's true.
Our ancestor since Gojoseon till Joseon dynasty, and then Japanese colonization to Korea. But on the other hand, U.S. history is not like really long and then deep, and then there's so many. It's a really diverse country. As a name of the country, United States of America. Even just California by itself, there's so many different people. China, Japan, Korea, Philippines, Vietnam, like a lot of Hispanic people from different Central or South American countries. So it's so diverse that even just California itself, you can really say like Californians. I mean, you can actually make a category for Californians because people even do that, Californians. But it's really hard to justify or make a statement as a one because it's so diverse.
It's true.
And the culture is not as deep compared to Korea, I think.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, that's my perspective.
So that's a great point. I almost feel like I feel like it'd be a fair statement to say American culture is very wide, but kind of shallow, whereas Korean culture is very narrow, but very deep.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like, that's why, I made a post today and I was like saying, like, I think I feel like people would benefit greatly if they got out of their comfort zone and go and explore the world and find a place that feels like it resonates with them. Like, I've done that, you've done that, right? And it's interesting because, like, I don't know you very well. We're just meeting really today for the first time, but so far, like, we're having a great conversation. I'm enjoying chatting with you. It seems like we could be friends by all means. And it's like, but yet we feel like we're at home or fit in differently, like into each other's culture in a sense,
Yeah.
And that's, I think, pretty amazing. And also kind of like, I don't know. I think that it's just kind of shocking in a sense, like how would you say that you love like Korea, I guess? Like,
I do love my country. I do miss my country. I mean, there are pros and cons. when I'm living in Korea versus when I'm living in US. Pros in Korea, everything is cheaper and transportation is easy. It's my country. It's my people. It's comfortable. I mean, it's not that I'm not comfortable in US, but it's more comfortable there. And, food, people, my family's there. So, but at the same time, even when I'm in Korea, it's ironic. When I'm in Korea, I miss being in US. When I'm in US, I miss being in Korea. It's yeah, but it's when I'm living in Korea like for a long time. When I was in military for 2 years, at the time I kind of missed being in US. But when I'm in Korea, when I'm in US, I be missing being in Korea. But
well, that's good. I mean, and also that kind of highlights an interesting point about being American. Is like, I think, and especially I think this is true today more than ever before. For Americans, it's kind of like you don't really hear a lot of people saying like in America, you don't hear a lot of people saying like I'm American. They're like, oh, like if someone asked me if I'm American, like if someone asked me like, oh, like what are you? If someone asked me that, I would say, oh, I'm like my dad's Italian and my mom is Peruvian. I probably wouldn't think to say I'm American, but I think if you're in Korea and you ask a Korean person like, what are you? They're going to be like, I'm Korean. And it's like, if the weird thing about being an American is like, you're not, for a lot of people, especially like if you're in a big city, I think, like you're kind of conditioned to not feel like you're American. You're conditioned to feel like you have to be different in some way. It's the individuality part of, like the individualistic part of being an American. That's what makes you have value, is the being different. So, I'm a mix of Italian and Peruvian, right? But so I don't get to, when I'm in Korea, like I don't feel like I miss anything about America, because I don't feel American. People ask me, I'm like, yeah, I'm American, but I don't feel like I'm not tied to, like, what even is American culture? It's like, how do you pinpoint it? There's like, it's hard to really say like, this is American. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you're Korean though, you really have that sense of like national pride for like, yeah, kimchi, that's ours. Like even hamburgers, like even like North Korea is saying like they invented hamburgers, it's like, I know it's a joke, but like the point is like, what is, like what is American is ultimately very easily traced back to somewhere else. Pizza. Like you could say pizza is American, but actually, and it was kind of reinvented in America, but it actually originates in Italy. Or like, you could do that with just about everything from America.
Everything. Yeah, literally everything.
But Korea came from the egg, like everyone's from.
Exactly. I think, that's a really great point. And that's also what I said, that America is built, the country and the culture is built, the land that was not the people who were not from there, Right. So it's obviously there's not anything built there is going to be originated. Everything is from, like hamburger, for example. Yeah, it's from Germany. Pizza, it's from Italy, and French fries from French by name. Everything is from other countries and then build culture from there. So obviously, compared to other countries who have their own culture, the deep of the culture, and then like you said, it's a really thin compared to other countries. The history of America, USA is not. That's how long is the history?
Less than 400 years, I think.
Yeah, so it's a super thin culture compared to other countries. That's why it's really hard to have those kind of feeling. Even like a lot of people, my friends, like compared to Korea, for example, when you're doing the Olympic Games or the soccer games, people are not like going crazy about the country USA,
Even Americans.
Like compared to, even Americans, they don't really care.
Yeah. They're rooting for like Italy or like.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like for example, I'm either Italy or Peru. I'm never America.
Yeah. Yeah, my friends, I have some Mexican friends. They're rooting for Mexico, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's maybe that's the different thing, the history of the country.
It's something that I really, it's crazy because like I'm always thinking like what, I'm still on this ever evolving journey of like why do I love Korea so much? Like why do I feel so at home and comfortable here? And I can't exactly say that this is a reason that I feel at home in Korea, but like when I'm in Korea, I really feel that that feeling of like loving Korea, loving the country and like that is really amazing to me. Like I love seeing people so passionate about their food, their people, the things that they do and like and I don't get that in the US. And I feel like
Mm,
being in Korea and seeing in that and being even as a foreigner, like I still feel like I get to participate in that to some degree. I'm not like a Korean, but I like get to participate in that and experience it. And that feels really I feel so like it's like so heartwarming for me. And I
yeah.
also think, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I just also think like Korea does it in a way that's not like too like too offensive, too like we're better than everyone. I
Mm,
just think they're more like we are. I mean, maybe it's because they honestly in a lot of things like Korea does is excelling like top, like in like Olympics, like Korea like blasted the Olympics like in a lot of things and so whatever. So maybe like when they're in these like global events, it's like oh like maybe they just have a silent cocky like silent like yeah we are look at us how good we did, but
yeah.
maybe it's there and I just don't see it. But I never feel like I feel like when a lot of cultures are trying to like are very nationalistic, there's almost like a certain like it almost feels like too much. But Korea feels to me like it's perfect. I don't know.
I mean, I was just gonna ask you like how you got into Korea and how you
Mm.
found out. I was just
I
curious.
took a trip. I was in Paris and I was taking a flight to Japan. I had been to Japan like 7 years earlier than that flight, and I was traveling around. Like I was in Europe for 4 months, and then I was going to go to Asia and travel around Asia and just check it out. Live a little while in Japan, and I just took a flight to Seoul because the flight was like half the price.
Mm,
So since I was going to Seoul, I just said like, okay, whatever. I'll just spend a few days in Seoul and see what it's about. And within the first few days, I was like, I think what I immediately felt that hooked me is that I felt a lot of I felt that ancientness of Korea, like the depth that we were talking about. I'm a very like I like philosophy, I like literature, I like deep things. I felt the depth of Korea, but also Koreans, unlike for example in Japan, Koreans are very like passionate and they can be very extroverted in like if you look at this the extroverted versus introverted, put it on a
mm,
spectrum. I think in general Koreans are like passionate extroverts in general.
you think so?
So yeah, like again, especially if you compare it to the other, if I compare it to like Japan, which I had been to just at that point one time, now it's over 10
Mhm.
times, but like going out in Korea, it was like not that hard for me to connect to people. And I felt that felt really good to me because I felt like, oh, here's like an entrance to I get to like again, I get to participate in some of these things. Like if a Korean person is doing something that's culturally relevant, Chuseok or some event or something like that, I can get invited to that and feel welcome and people are like excited for me to see it. And I'm excited to be there. And I'm excited to be, for them to show me. And it's like it feels positive. In Japan, for example, it didn't feel like that. I always felt like I was forcing myself into spaces, and I always felt I'm 197 centimeters too. I'm like really tall and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I always feel like I'm standing out and like kind of crowding people. But in Korea, I never felt that. I always felt like people were very loving, passionate. Also, sometimes not loving, sometimes just whatever, whether they're angry or they're happy. But it's like there's a lot of energy.
Emotional. Yeah.
Yeah. That I
I
love.
see.
Yeah. That hooked. That was the hook for me.
Oh, I see. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you love my country, and obviously you want to live, and you are living there.
Yeah. 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 I mean, my plan is to become a citizen. So,
Oh wow.
I mean, obviously, like whatever time, I'll take my time. I run a business in the
Hmm.
US. So, obviously I work in the US. My business is based in the US. I do like coding and a lot of stuff digitally and remotely. So I can be anywhere in the world.
Hmm.
That's a gift that I have. And so I feel, like I have to figure that out. I have to figure out that balance, but I feel like my life, if I think of my ideal life right now, it looks like 70% of my time in Korea, 30% of my time in the US or traveling, you know,
Hmm.
especially in the summer.
That's our goal. Me and my wife. Eventually, we want to move back to Korea,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, because yeah, currently my wife is pregnant.
Oh,
Uh,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. She's
Yeah.
on 21 weeks, and
Wow.
so yeah, our baby is due next January, and
That's amazing.
yeah, we definitely, since we are having baby, we even wanna we always talk about it, because you know how like dangerous here is to for
San Diego is
kids to go
very
to school.
dangerous.
Um, there are a lot of school shooting, and you can like that's the one of my uh, like nightmare ever, about like once I that was what I was thinking too, since my wife was pregnant. Once I have my own kid, that's gonna be my weakest spot, you know.
Safety.
Yeah, safety, like kids safety, and then once kids going out of my hands, that's out of my control,
Right.
which that we would have to worry about later in the future, but we are still talking about it right now to
Hmm.
move to Korea. So we are figuring it out. I think we were talking about it. We have like 5, 6 years to figure it out, and then go back to Korea.
So this is really, I think, a great next kind of like segue into this, to the topic of like, well, preface, like I definitely, I'm 34. Like I'm definitely thinking about my future. Having a family has always been something I've wanted. And if I'm going to live in Korea, like, I have to consider like, okay, well, what, do I want to have a family in Korea? Do I want to have a family in the US? Like, how do I want to do this? I've been weighing the pros and cons a lot.
Hmm.
And, considering everything we just talked about and like your experience in Korea, like, how do you, like, thinking about your child's future, like, how do you see your life in Korea for your child?
That's a really good question because, like, we both know Korea has a strong identity as a country and the people. But I think it's a good time that our as a our country as a Korea, I mean, Korea as a country is growing slowly. The popularity that now a lot of foreigners are in Korea. That perspective toward to foreign people are slowly shifting. I believe it would have been harder because like my wife is not Korean. She's half Salvadorian, half Guatemalan. She's U.S. citizen, and she speaks both English and Spanish fluently. So obviously, our kid is going to be mixed, and you know, like different difference in Korea could be a big deal
Hmm.
for kids when they're growing up, especially in Korea. That school bullying in middle school and high school are huge deal until nowadays. I'm sure you've seen from the news and stuff that something happens to kids because of the bully, and that's pretty sad. But that's a fact that is going on in Korea. So obviously, when we are in Korea, we are gonna have to think about that. Um, Even though we, I mean, obviously, you want best for your kids.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
So we
it
are
might
thinking
even
about that.
shift, you know. It could be like with, especially with social media and Korean kids having access to social media, TikTok, all this kind of stuff. It could be the situation, and I kind of imagine it would be where like a lot of Korean kids are going to look up to a lot of these like foreign kind of pop culture stuff and think like it's kind of cool. I think it could even become kind of cool to be different as a
True.
kid,
That is true.
because they
Yeah, it
don't
could
have,
be.
yeah, they don't have that preconceived like nationalistic, you know, kids, like they would say kids aren't really born racist or something, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I see pros and cons, but obviously, I would worry like anything, nothing negative. So,
Hmm. But what
but yeah,
about the,
we
you
talk
know,
about that. Oh, sorry, go on.
what about like the education part, like the pressure and all that, like that side?
That I would not want same. I would not want my kids to go through the same education system. But at the same time, if you want my kids to go to regular school, elementary school, middle school, um, the the people or the kids my kids gonna hang out with gonna go through that, then my kids would question if they want to do it. Then I will do it, but I wouldn't force my kids to like study. I
Hmm.
wouldn't. I mean, my parents, I guess, never forced me, but it was just I was always comparing myself. My friends are going, so I want to do it. It was more like
Hmm.
that. So, but I'm not gonna force my kids to like study or anything.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, personally, I feel the same as you. And if I were to have kids in Korea and have they would go through the Korean school system, you know, like I always think to myself, like so much of who we become is, you know, obviously the values that your parents and your society put into you, and you know the people you that are surrounding you. They have a large influence on like the way you behave and act. And I feel when it comes to like when I think about like the development stages of a life, I think the early years really you need structure. Like, and obviously it can be too far, but I think in the early years, like giving a kid in my, this is just me making this up by the way, like this is my idea, but like
Hmm.
I feel like if you give a kid structure at a young age and then over time give them opportunities to break the structure, they'll start at such an advantage compared to kids who have like were given no structure in the beginning and then like eventually have to fit into a structure. And you actually hear that is pretty consistently true with all the Korean friends that I've made, and or like I've had some serious relationships in Korea. Like all like it's been multiple times kind of mentioned to me that like if someone is Korean and then they move abroad, they always feel like in a especially in like a school situation or like a competitive situation, they're kind of always feeling like they're already a little bit ahead of the curve, like ahead in grades, ahead in classes, ahead in like, because if you compare one to one, like how the average Korean kid is studying, he's studying at the level of like the average Korean student is studying at the level of like an advanced American student, you know,
Um,
or even
I
more.
I agree on that part, on that regard. I mean, I wasn't a good kid when it comes to study. I'm not dumb or anything, but I never try my best when it comes to
Hmm.
study. So I
Okay.
was always average in Korea or below average in Korea. And then I came to US, tried the US college course. And some of the course, not gonna lie, especially when it comes to math,
Hmm.
US calculus is lower than a Korean high school math.
Right.
Yeah, if
That
you
is
if you if you
crazy.
can go through the Korean high school, you can literally go take the calculus and then get a straight up A without studying, just taking course. I believe. But and also as I'm working here, what I notice is Korean people are good at working. So when something is given, they understand. We tend to understand, and then we proceed with no problem, or we even like figure things out on our own and get better. I even had a conversation at my job. I was talking to this person. She is in this department, she's also Korean. She has a PhD, and then I was talking that she said like some people she's really having a hard time working with because they don't understand what she's saying, and like they keep asking, like bugging her because she's so busy that she has to do things. But you have to not only guide them how to do it, but also making sure they're doing the right thing because you can't trust them on what they're doing. So I think those are really different. Average Korean versus average US people. I can truly say that average Korean people perform better than average US people. I believe. I might be wrong, but based on my experience.
Based on my experience too. And I think like in the context, this conversation, by the way, is not like about, like we're not hating on anyone, but we are thinking about our kids' future. And obviously this is a totally reasonable thing to consider, right? So it's like, that's why I'm saying, like, I think if for the future generation, like, what do you want? Do you want, but, and then, and I feel like I just feel this is what I think is like, just even having a non-Korean in the home, like your wife not being Korean, to give that alternate perspective. And maybe at this point you've lived in the US for so long that you also aren't going to be that kind of like classic Korean parent. But like having that all different perspective, I think is already going to really help balance out that, because it's like in Korea, it's like you're just like constantly right at that line of like, it's too much, but maybe having you guys be a little bit different, like than normal Korean parents, it'll be enough to like keep them in check, give them some freedom of thought, give them some freedom of play and action, but also still in this environment where they're motivated to do well, to compete with their friends and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, like great point. Obviously, when I have a kid, it's not going to be fully Korean. She's going to be half Korean and quarter Salvadorian, quarter Guatemalan. And, it's a really diverse, completely different culture because my wife has she's a U.S. citizen. She was born and raised here, but she also has a Salvadorian mom who raised her with her way, and then she's culture in that way. So
I'm Peruvian, which is not like Latinos are pretty like consistent. Like Latino culture has like subdivisions, but
similar like Hispanic, Latino, Latina, and so obviously like we are talking about that a lot too. So like when we have a kid, I'm gonna speak full Korean all the time, and my wife is gonna speak full Spanish all the time, and kids gonna catch English by us making conversation because we are gonna speak to each other in English. So eventually, we would love our kids to speak 3 languages fluently. That's our goal. And definitely it's gonna be different dynamic compared to just full Korean household. And we talk about that a lot because I have a different perspective when it comes to education, and my wife has a different perspective, and we always try to make a conversation, communicate to make a better decision.
Yeah, of course. That's being in a relationship. And have you, like, I know you were young when you left Korea. Have you ever dated a Korean girl?
That was when I did kind of, like I said, in middle school, high school. I just do not consider that as actually like dating because it's really different. Like when it comes to middle school and high school. So I did kind of, but not really. Ever since I came to US, it was 2013. Since then, I never met Korean girl. It was all like girls from US or different countries or it was not I never dated a Korean girl after 2013. So
I feel like that dating is one of those things that's like when you talk about what can you say is like pretty consistent about culture in Korea. from what I can tell, like dating has like in the US, dating is every time you date someone, it's a whole new dynamic. It's
Mhm.
like, you know, new way of communicating, new way of new problems that you never thought could exist, like new relationship types, new like, you know, polyamory. Like literally there's like a billion different variables in an American relationship. And in a
Mhm.
Korean relationship, it's like pretty much there's so many things in a Korean relationship that are like one dimensional. It's like this is
Really?
the way.
I mean, you might have a better experience. You might have more to say when it comes to that because
Right.
like I said, I haven't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would like to hear it. Yeah.
Oh well, I guess like I was just curious, like because as you because you are Korean, I was thinking like from your end, do you feel like it like not because you dated in Korea, did you pick up on like the passive rules of dating or like through your parents or through culture, through like do you feel like it was hard for you to learn how again, I know you didn't date a lot in Korea, but like, but like, was it hard for you still to like adjust to this like free way of thinking about like
Like
relationships,
a
even friendships and
relationship.
stuff? Yeah.
Um, I mean, I definitely my thought on that relationship uh, definitely developed over time by
Hmm.
my experience and by yeah as I think as you age as a right mind human being, I believe you need to be more wise as time goes by. Otherwise, I don't know what to say about that. But that's my belief.
Hmm. I
You
agree.
should be wiser compared to 20s and 30s. You should act. I mean, you shouldn't. I can't say you should act different, but for me, at least, I shouldn't be same as when I was 20
Hmm.
versus I'm 30s now. And I learned from my first relationship a lot and the second relationship, and that's how I met my wife. I believe marriage is it's really um, it has to be right person with the right time. Otherwise, it might be really hard to get married because you might it's my theory. You might meet someone ideal type of your marriage, but in 20s, if you meet someone like that, you're not ready, right? You're not financially stable. You're not mentally stable. I think early 20s, I don't see them as a full adult because they're still kids from my perspective, like 21, 22, up to like 23. Um,
Especially
because you're,
Koreans, right? Because you're only just into your 20s, you're only just learning how to be in relationships,
yeah,
how to relate to like other people in that way.
yeah. And then you learn by experience. So first
Right.
relationship is our kind of like learning point.
Hmm.
I mean, you might be really lucky that you have a same kind of thought and mindset and then same type of, growth together. Then a lot of people meet their partner around like early 20s. They're really lucky, as they
Hmm.
can like live life together. But most people, I think they find later when they're ready. And that's how I think I found my wife. We were talking about it too. I said, if I was in 20, I don't think I would be with you. Like she said the same thing. If I was in 20s, I don't think I would be with you.
Yeah.
Like look
That's
back,
totally different.
yeah. So I believe that those relationships, when it comes to either friend or your partner, it builds over time. And for me, at least, I have a really straight mindset when it comes to that, um, especially for friendship. Uh, there's my favorite rapper in Korea. He had a sentence I
어,
really
이름
like.
뭐예요?
It hit me. His name is Toki.
Toki.
As Toki, yeah, it's one of DOK two. It's he said
Oh, okay.
Toki, Tok, and
Oh,
then
I want
two
to.
is E. Yeah,
I'm like
Toki.
still I'm in a phase of like discovering Korean rap, like good Korean rap, you know.
Yeah,
So,
he's a more like a westernized Korean rapper, but he's
mm,
pretty good for me at least. And he said the life is like elevator, like you have up and down, people comes in and out, and that really hit me. Because like friendship, especially when you're in 20s, I think friendship is really important, right? Like you build a friend, you always like drink, party, like hang out, like your friends matter. I think a lot more in your life. And but that doesn't last forever. That's what I see.
Yeah.
People really come and go, and then sometimes you gotta let them go. You shouldn't hold on to this relationship if you don't see anything. You know, that's how I see when it comes to friendship. So when I see something that I don't think it's right that this person is doing, and I kind of give this person warning, whether this person understands or not, and then if the person doesn't catch it, from my perspective, then I don't think this person see me as a true friend or good person enough to ignore or not even notice of my warning sign. Then I just move on. You know.
Yeah, I think that's actually, if you don't mind me saying, I think that's like actually something it's like a very Korean like way, because what I've noticed is Americans in general, like in all, this is one of those, actually, I totally contradicting myself from before. I feel like it's pretty consistent. I think just because of how much diversity we have here, we have to be so much more forgiving because everyone can be so different. But in Korea, I feel like the mentality of Koreans is a lot less forgiving. Like people set their boundaries. They say like they even have just expectations like nunchi, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
nunchi is like really real. Like I've experienced it. I thought it was like, oh, this is just a stereotype. This is not real. Like it's fucking real. And like,
Yeah, it is.
and yeah, like I've noticed Koreans are a lot not as forgiving as Americans in general. And they also have like, they have expectations and boundaries. And if you cross them, like they might just, yeah, they just might cut you out. Like and never talk to you again. Ghosting is actually a very common thing in Korea that I
Really,
think is,
I didn't know that.
yeah. And, you know, it's like, I think like a lot of things that I see in American pop culture or like American social media, I generally feel like they're kind of like over exaggerated or not true. But with Korean stuff that's in like memes and shit, I feel like it's so spot on. Like ghosting is, I've been even like, okay, a year and a half relationship, ghosted. You
No
know,
way.
like basically the end point was, I mean, there was an ending to it. It wasn't like suddenly she disappeared, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, I don't want to ever talk to you again. Like in the US, like you know, it's like, oh, you break up with someone and it's like, okay, well, maybe like, you know, like whatever. It like dissolves maybe. This was like, it's done. Never again we're talking. And I didn't do anything egregious. It's not like I did something that's like, you know, it was just, we honestly just naturally fell apart. But that was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's even like a long-term relationship. And then short-term relationships is kind of the same thing. Like trying to, you know, like, or in the early stages of a relationship, it's like you could get ghosted, you know, just because they met
Really,
someone else or yeah.
that's crazy.
I think it comes down to what I'm learning about is, and what I think it comes down to, not to like take away too much from the original conversation, but like what I've learned is like there the idea of talking about how you feel in Korea is like kind of taboo and kind of not, especially, and I know this for example was true of my ex, like her like lifestyle, like she felt uncomfortable talking about how she feels. And even though I encouraged her to do it, like I'm a very expressive, like communicative person, it just didn't feel natural to her. She would rather live in a world of like expectations that
Silence.
go unspoken. So
That's
yeah.
that's interesting.
So I think in Korea, like sometimes if there's this like politeness that exists in like when you're dating someone, and then like if they don't feel like it's gonna work, instead of communicating with you that they're like gonna like how they feel and maybe there's some path of like, you know, changing, then they'll just ghost you. And that's not what
Really.
you said, by the way. But this is just me expanding, like because you asked like, oh,
Uh,
really people ghost? Yeah. So
yeah.
that's happened to me. Not it happens to me like 20% of the times that I like go
Really.
like date someone. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I like I said, you have a more experience with the Korean girls than I do. So and then your experience is recent. So you might be more accurate and then have a valid point of view rather than myself. For me, it's more. to people here or people from other countries. And I never in my life ever got ghosted from someone. I might have, but
Yeah.
um,
Well, in the US, it
yeah,
only ever happened one time. You know, in my 30 years of living in the US, I only ever got ghosted once. In Korea, it happens like whenever. It could happen like one every, because like I'll go on Bumble or whatever. So let's say I go on a
uh-huh.
date. The date lasts like 2 or 3 times, and then it's like, all right, this isn't going to work out. But like, it's like
Yeah.
1 out of 3 times, that's going to be like a ghost, you know?
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think ghosting is morally unacceptable, but
Yeah, I think when you mentioned about how you try to encourage your ex to express her feelings, and that kind of made me think because me and my wife we were talking about those kind of things because we are a completely different person as a
mm,
like our personality is completely different. I'm more outgoing, she's more introverted, and we have a completely different cultural background. So obviously our understanding is different. So we try to communicate a lot. So our beginning of our relationship, it was not easy. It was kind of rough because we like argue a lot, and then we try to communicate a lot. And one thing we talked about is she expect me to do something without her telling me.
uh,
You
like
know what I mean?
Nunchi.
Yeah, like Nunchi, like she expect me to do something. Um, and for me, like Korean people talk about those MBTI.
Mm,
I'm more like T, you know.
mm,
So for me, it
thank
has
you.
to make sense. It's like mathematics. So, dude, if you want me to do something, say something.
Oh,
Like, let me know. I don't know what you want if you don't tell me anything. Like, we had to actually, I had to sit down. That we had to have this serious conversation. That if you don't express your feeling, like whatever it's in your mind, speak to me. Like, I wouldn't know. Like, please, like, I'm sorry, I can read you. I can read your mind, but I would like you to let me know what you want, or if something bothers you, I much rather know you tell me rather than you just don't talk to me. And I mean, she talked to me, but like like if this person is mad or not. So
right.
we had those kind of conversation, and it was just kind of funny that when you said it might not be just Korean people, it might be certain type of people. I guess I don't know.
I also, sometimes people ask me like, how do you feel comfortable in Korea, being a foreigner and all this stuff? And I always say, actually, I feel like I'm not a foreigner at all. Like, I think Korean people are the Latinos of Asia. I
Maybe.
I feel like Korean people and Latinos have a lot more in common. Even honestly, even Korean and Spanish, there's a lot of words that they're not the same meaning, but they have like the same sounds. Like there's a lot of words that if you say that, like if I say a Korean word to a Latin person,
Mhm.
like they'll be like, oh, that means like this other word in Spanish,
Mm.
you know? Like
I
that never
agree
happens
with
with German, you know? Like you're never like
yeah.
saying a Korean word, and you're like, oh, is that German?
I
But
think
you know,
yeah, I agree. I think Hispanic culture and then Korean culture is really similar. Like
mm,
family oriented, and then food culture is huge, and those like celebration,
yeah,
all the family get together.
passionate. I would say
Yeah,
passionate.
passionate, and yeah, there. I think there are a lot like similarity compared
Hmm.
to Western countries.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to ask you too. So tell me, so like, I'm pretty new at content, this
Hmm.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Before I started making YouTube videos, I'm gonna sound like a millennial as fuck right now.
Hmm.
Before I started making YouTube videos, I was like very much offline, like didn't have a
Hmm.
social media presence. Even I was a like a DJ. Had residencies at like pretty big nightclubs, like, and it actually always even hurt me that I didn't have social media. But I'd rather not be involved with like this world. And then lately, I was feeling kind of really sad about and missing Korea a lot. So I was like, what are things that I could do to like help me get closer to like still engage with like Korea, you know, and that's kind of how I landed on doing this stuff because I I thought it would be just like a way for me to stay in contact with my friends. It kind of gives me an excuse, you know, it gives me an excuse to study Korean stuff, like the language. I can keep studying the language, keep like studying the culture, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been kind of looking at it from that perspective, and I'm curious because I feel like you also, like you and I make similar maybe ish content, but like you're doing it from the perspective of like actually being Korean, whereas like I'm doing it like you have the knowledge and like you're sharing it, and I'm like exploring the knowledge.
Mhm.
But what's your? I guess let me ask you just straight up, like what's your goal? Like what are you up to on social media?
So I was always thinking about doing social media, not what I still don't have my niche down. I really don't know what I would like to do. I'm still kind of exploring, but I always had a back in my mind that thought about doing social media,
Hmm.
and I had this one of my friends. I had a conversation with him, and like he was talking about social media, doing social media and stuff. So he told me about this mic that I have on right now.
Hmm.
So I purchased it, and even after that conversation, I bought the mic, but I never made a move. Mic was sitting in my. I didn't even open the box. It was sitting in the my house for a while, for a few months, and one of my friend who was getting married, and we went to a bachelor's trip to Puerto Rico, and we had a guide at the time, and this guy obviously he's a Puerto Rican. He kept calling me, Chino, Chino, and he was like later on. I mean, he speak perfect English, but he was kind of like goofy, funny guy, so I didn't
Yeah.
mind. I didn't take it personally, and he was like, "You look like someone like popular." Like to me, like nobody else, but to me, he was like, "You look like someone popular." I was like, "Oh, really? Thank you." Yeah, you look like someone like influencer or something. Like, oh, really? And that kind of hit me, and I didn't really think much at the time because I was in trip with my friends, and I came back home, and I was thinking about it. I was like, "Damn, maybe I should start." So I after I heard that, a few days later, I just started recording, or I started my first post, and then I just promised myself that I will post once a day. And since then, I've been going on posting on TikTok. I don't really have a niche down, but one thing I thought about it is now Korea is a really hot topic. Korea as a country, and like K-pop, K-drama, Korean food. So I have that benefit of being Korean and living in US. And US is one of the top consumer when it comes to K-pop and Korean stuff. So it would be a good idea for me to post the contents about me talking about Korea. Then maybe it would hit or not. And then ever since then, my For You page on my TikTok was all about making contents, like small creator, whatever. So I was like kind of doing some research, and I was just, and then in the beginning, I was kind of taking serious about like what should I post, like what should I post, and then I saw a lot of people say about just post, like just post, and then just post, just do, and then explore like what works or what doesn't. I'm not like fully focused on oh yeah, this is gonna be my goal, like this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just still naturally try to just post once a day, but try to make a habit of filming and editing and then posting, but at least once a day. Try to do it right now. I don't have a specific goal, but eventually I would love this to be, you know, I would love to. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would love to make a profit off of it eventually, and then be financially free. That's my ultimate goal. But for now, I'm gonna work on my job and just do this on the side, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, well, your
Yeah,
content's
that's
really
yeah.
funny and really like it's funny and it's also like it's engaging. Like I like it. I mean, that's actually how I right. That's how I reached out to you and just on TikTok I saw a video. And actually that video that I reached out to you about, So like I'm kind of curious, something that I've really been toying around with a lot. Um, I'm sure you at this point you're on TikTok, like you've heard the word Koreaboo, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so this is like an interesting word. And it's a very, I think it's a very important word. And it's kind of like the thing that I found you were saying something like, it feels like a lot of people are interested. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was something like, I feel like a lot of people are interested in K-pop Korea because of K-pop, something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel, is that right?
Yeah,
Something like
there was a one video I was saying that if anybody is interested in Korea, not because of K-pop or K-drama, that was one of the
oh
video got
yeah,
kind of viral,
okay.
and yeah, a lot of people yeah commented about different things.
So there's like, I think there's this phenomenon happening where like there's so many people who love Korea. So actually, I want to, before we even talk about it, I want to set like the context. I I feel like this word is usually used in a way to attack people, Koreaboo. And so bringing it up, it can be triggering to a lot of people. It can be because it reminds them of a time that someone attacked them or bullied them with that word. And I, on a personal level, like I don't respect attacking people with words like this. Like there's no, it's like a low value interaction if someone just like says something to you like that, attacks you, and then just leaves or like leaves you like that. It's there's nothing gained from for either party except maybe like something egotistical or kind of I think destructive. So I am trying to approach this topic from a more intellectual perspective and from a practical perspective because I actually, even though this is being weaponized, this word is being weaponized, I do think that it actually like talks about a real like a very important topic, which is essentially the and a global topic. It's not even just Korean topic. It's like the global topic of like fetishization of cultures from other cultures, you know,
Yeah,
through like the medium of like some fantasy. So yeah, I guess like I've been really curious because I've been called a Koreaboo, of course, like not in person, but like online, just because I post Korean
yeah,
content,
yeah,
and and like I questioned myself. I was like, wait, am I Koreaboo? You know, and I've been through the ringer, like because not because I thought I was, but because when someone like I like to be thoughtful, so I'm like, okay, maybe let me think, like, am I? And I feel like there's a lot of nuance in this word and that needs to be uncovered. And I think Korean people should know more about this word because it's very popular. I think Western, like foreigners, should also think more deeply about the topic. And then we should really try to eliminate the attacking, like the negative space that it creates so that we could focus on the real issue, which is, like we said, fetishization and fantasizing on a culture that in a harmful way. So,
hmm
yeah. So what do you think?
um I think yeah, like you pointed out, Koreaboo is not a word that it's not a, I mean, it's a negative word. Yeah, like people, I think Koreaboo is not a, it's a kind of old term since I believe when I was here, like 2014, I believe that word existed at the time too. And yeah, it's a really, at the time it was only targeting specific people because people who love Korea. Um, the population is not compared to like nowadays. Back then it was a way smaller group. And yeah, Koreaboo, it's like people who are obsessed with the Korea or Korean people or K-pop. I think that was what it was called or originated from. And yeah, like you said, you shouldn't have those negative terms toward to like people who like something, like just because these people who are obsessed with um, the culture of other country or the song, like music of other country, like you are just like pointing out, judging them, that these people are fantasizing this culture or whatever from that country. rather than if you're into car, like you don't say anything. You know, there are a lot of bunch of guys in US. They're into car. You know, and there's no term, negative term for that. But when it comes to Korea, people say Korea boo, and I don't know if it's still coming out or people are still like judging and pointing out the Korea boo, because I haven't heard that term for a while. I think it's also because now that Korea is not only small country or small population or small group of people who like, but now it's a more like global. Like Korea, it's really got bigger compared to back then. So I don't think Korea boo is really. I haven't really heard, like I said, but yeah, I think that shouldn't be termed to like make something negative of what people like, I think.
Interesting. So I would say like, I don't know if, again, I guess our algorithms are for like, probably I'm being targeted and shown more foreigners in Korea than you might be because I'm a foreigner in Korea. So I'm sure that like it somehow is like acknowledging that and showing me that. So amongst like the foreigners, like foreigner content creators in Korea, it's like, it's an interesting, something that I see a lot of videos about. Like, you know, even recently, as of like last week, I was seeing this girl, Sammy or something. She's like, she posts like stuff about like Korean language. She's like, I guess she's constantly getting called Korea boo. And, you know, so she's like taking it personally and making videos about that, like, you know, justifying why or why not she's a Korea boo, you know, like, well, she's saying she's not, right? So, but I think like, you know, I think for example, I don't think it's as black as white and white as like you should or you shouldn't. I think in no case attacking someone about it is helpful. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think for me, I believe people, no matter what, there are gonna be people who judge you, who are gonna hate you with no reason. Internet is brutal. Like it's you don't show your face. Comment section sometimes it could be brutal because people do things on the internet they wouldn't do in person to the stranger.
That's true.
They easily just type things out, and then most of the time those people who are making negative comments on social medias, most of the time those are losers. Like, have you ever made those like negative comments? If you think about it, have I made it? No, never. Have your friends made it? I don't think so. Or maybe they are, but I truly believe those people who are making negative comments on regards of whatsoever, they're total losers because they wouldn't say that. They can't say that in front of this person's face. You know what I mean? Only because they are hiding behind this keyboard or the screen, they can easily bully people. They wouldn't do in person. And I believe those people are losers. And then that's why no matter what, if you're, I believe, I don't see those words because I'm Korean. So whatever I talk about my countries, nobody's going to call me Korean boo because it's my country and my culture. But I believe that you see more often since you're talking about Korea as a foreigner and people who are commenting on your page or other people who, as a foreigner, talking about Korea stuff. I can see as a hate comments, Korea boo, oh, you're Korea boo, Korea boo. But I think that's one thing I was thinking about it too before I started contents. I'm going to have a mindset that no matter what, there's going to be haters and the people who are making judgment comments, hateful comments. And I see that, luckily, I don't see really often. It's really, but I still see here and there. And I I try my best not to mind those comments. And at the same time, I should keep in mind that there's always going to be people, no matter what. But then I'm trying to focus on people who are giving me positive comments and positive energy rather than those like negative comments. That's my thing.
Sure, of course. I think I definitely agree. It's always better to focus on the positive comments, especially in this world, like you're saying. it's a brutal world. I've had some crazy people commenting throughout my time, and sometimes I even feel bad. Like if I have a guest on or something, people will say really fucked up shit. I'm like, how do I manage their feelings? Yeah, but anyway, but the what I noticed. So here's where what I think is interesting, because you can focus on the positive, but I think this is like a kind of deep philosophical idea. It's like usually someone who's attacking you, they don't pick something random, you know? They don't see someone and say something totally random. They say something that they think is going to get under your skin. And in order for it to get under your skin, it has to have some level of truth to it. And I think that's why it doesn't matter. You know, I'm actually the kind of person personally who I believe in a full balanced view on life, including positive and negative. I think in order to be positive, you need to understand the negative. That's how I feel. So like when I see people calling others Koreaboo, I think, or, you know, again, it's happened to me one time, but even that one time was enough for me to say, I'm gonna own this. So like if I am a Koreaboo, like if it's true, then let me find out. So that's where I go into this deep research, you know? And I think that the problem with not doing what I'm saying is that if you don't dig deep in yourself and find out, is it true or not? I think that if that insult has any level of truth to it, I think that could get to you, you know, underneath your skin. Maybe in your mind, you're saying, I'm fine. But I think for some people, it can kind of break them.
That's true.
So I think I don't know, I'm not a therapist or a psychologist, but my personal approach to life is like, when these things appear, you know, I address them up front. So I'm addressing this whole Koreaboo these days and with an effort, again, not to attack people, but to be sure this is what this is, so that people can be free from it. Because I want a lot of these content creators to feel like free from the burden of being a Koreaboo, and just realizing like, hey, they just are like, they just like this thing. And also, I also think there is a destructive side to this. I think there is a behavior that is destructive in this world that actually needs to be addressed, and people who are behaving like that need to be addressed. So like Koreaboo, as far as I understand, is like an old word that goes back to a word called weeaboo, which you might have heard of.
Weeaboo? I don't think I've heard that.
So weeaboo started even way before Koreaboo, and it's been 30 years. It was for Japanese culture, because you might know that a lot of foreigners, a lot of Westerners were obsessed with anime, and like there was this big infatuation with like, you know, Japanese porn, stuff like that. So so people would get labeled as a weeaboo, which actually is another alteration of the word. I did an epistemological like tunnel on this. It's like the origin of that is wannabe Japanese. Wabanese is what they called it. Someone who really like is obsessed with these kind of like, it's not like they're obsessed with like historical textbooks or learning the language. They're obsessed with parts about Japanese culture that are not even Japanese. They're maybe like some minor facet of Japanese culture that tell stories that are not actually related to Japanese culture, like, you know, anime. Anime is the manifestation of a fantasy of a guy's mind. And of course he is Japanese, but what he portrays is not Japan. He portrays fantasy. So, and so what I see, the reason that I even think this is so important is because, like, if you look at the current relations between Japanese people, the country, let's say actually not even people, the Japanese nation and foreigners, there's a lot of tension. I don't know if you've noticed.
Really?
But
I didn't know.
yeah, if you look on social media, there's a lot of not just also my friends live in Japan. There's a lot of like, and I've been to Japan 10 times. Like, just to be clear, like I have a lot of experience with this. Japan is starting to, and has been for a long time, noticing that like foreigners are bringing a sort of negative culture into Japan when they visit, not respecting the culture of Japan, kind of like going there as with like a sort of disrespectful non-integration perspective, and even to live there. And Japan has a very specific culture. I'd say a lot like Korea, like a lot of rules, a lot of like social etiquette, nunchi, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
so after 30 years, Japan is starting to have this like no this kind of like nationalistic, we don't really want foreigners here perspective. So for
Mm,
me as a foreigner who's living in Korea, I'm worried that, yeah, maybe right now this is going to be a hot topic for Koreans and it's chill, but I think that over 10, 20, 30 years, like if people take the wrong interest in Korea and start fantasizing or fetishizing Korean people coming from abroad, putting in this like, treating Korean people in a way that's not like respecting the true culture, like what it means to be Korean. They're just thinking about K-pop, K-drama, that kind of lifestyle. I worry that over time Koreans are going to develop a negative perspective about foreigners, and that's going to affect me as someone who wants to live in Korea and raise a family there, potentially. And ultimately, will affect Korea negatively because then, like I think Korea is doing great in its ability to bridge gaps between many other cultures around the world, just like Japan did.
mhm. Yeah.
So, so yeah, this is kind of where I think like it's important that we talk about this in a respectful way and say like, and talk about how like fetishizing part, like, like taking these sort of pop culture aspects of Korea and obsessing over them to the point where you move to Korea because of them, or you just want to like be doing only Korean things, like only listening to Korean music or only watching K dramas, like shutting yourself off from the rest of the world. I feel like that not just it hurts Korea. I think it hurts the people that do that. I think
Mhm.
I think ultimately it's a destructive way of thinking. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point because just when you were telling me those, I just the one video that I saw popped up in my mind from TikTok that this girl was kind of crying and showing like in front of camera and saying that I'm living Korea. I've lived here for like a couple of years or something like that, and I'm living Korea and because I can't fit in this society. I yeah, like I'm from US, but I'm living Korea, going back to US. US is not any better, but I'm leaving. And then there are a lot of like comments about like kind of negative comments about Korean society, and that's kind of tied into what you said about fantasizing Korea as a country and just watching those K-pop, K-dramas, and not knowing any culture, like deep culture, just coming into Korea with the fantasy mindset and then living there, and then it breaks you, and then see the reality of how Korea really is, besides behind the screen, and that, and then that was kind of got me. I was um, like I wanted to comment, but I just didn't because it was gonna be long comment. Because I mean, I love my country. Don't get me wrong. I love my country, and when I see like people making negative comments as a person who are from that country, it doesn't make me feel good, obviously. And if it's not, I mean, every single person's perspective is different. I respect that, but if you are like showing that kind of stuff on the internet, I think people might have a bias mindset because you she I mean yeah, she could be right because she's telling on the phone the to people from her experience, her own experience. So uh, for her perspective and for her explanation, everything is right. But I don't know how to explain, but it can't not sometimes it could be wrong.
mm,
She could have got a wrong perspective. She could have judged. You don't know, like behind the scene, like what she actually experienced. Um, you know what I mean.
mhm.
So that could be the misjudgment, and I don't like seeing those. And like that's the one thing I would want to tell people who are coming to visiting Korea and just having after watching those K-pop K dramas and those interaction with the celebrities that I would like to them doing some at least some research of like how Korea really is or what do you have what do you have to have as an expectation as a foreigner visiting foreign country? That might have a better effect, either negatively or positively, I think, as a foreigner who are visiting Korea.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like this is a very interesting topic. It's because again, like you take this word Koreaboo and then look at all the stuff that unravels from it. Like this is really deep and important topics, you know?
Yeah.
But totally. I mean, I went to Korea without having any prior knowledge of Korea, and I didn't think I would stay there for more than a weekend. But I think when I think about what attracts me to Korea, it's actually a lot of the stuff that people often are complaining about with Korea. So,
Mm.
like, I know that for me, like, when I think about my home in this world, it is a place like Korea. What does that mean? It doesn't mean it's a place where there's like the perfect, ideas of like perfect relationship or perfect, like, everyone is like charming and everyone is cute or something. It's like actually for me, like I value hardworking people who have like hard like work ethic, like just big work ethic, put a lot of like maximum effort. I'm a maximum effort kind of person.
Mm.
So, like whatever you're doing, if you're like pushing the boundaries, I'm like inspired by that. I love like the things I love about Korea, for example, are like I love the ancient meets the new. That's something that I
Mm.
think is really cool about Korea that is underrated. Like Korean history, not in the way that it's like the story of it, but just like how it lives in the city of Seoul and then, or in Korea in general, and then contrasts like the all the progress that's been made. I think there's something really like human and special about seeing that any person I think could feel that like, wow, this place is so old and so new,
Yeah.
so there's like, these are the things that you're not going to see that like no one is going. I feel like a lot of the people that I meet, they're not going to Korea with that, they're not like, that's the stuff that I care about, because all they're getting is like the K fantasy is what I call it.
Yeah.
And I've seen all those negative videos, and then again, I feel even like, I feel for the Korean people, like, why do Korean people deserve to hear all this negative stuff about Korea? Like, it's these people are projecting their, inability to survive in Korea on Koreans, and it's their responsibility. It's their, they chose to be there. And then,
That's a good point. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting and so complicated. So I'm like really trying to create a good, like right now I'm actually making like a series about this, like how to approach Korea in a way that's respectful to the true Korea, and that part of that is discovery for me. Like I don't know the true Korea, I'm learning it.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
that's a lot of these conversations and what I'm researching and what I'm talking about is like that, that journey of learning about all this. But yeah, and I'm sure your wife also like would have interesting thoughts on this too, because like, South America and Central America are places that have gone through this for a long time as well, through like the integration of like foreigners into their into countries there, and like dealing with the mixing and like how like things that, just trying to, so that's why I say this is like a global issue that every country
Hmm.
faces to to different extremes. But Korea
Yeah.
is the hot topic right now.
Yeah. That's definitely, I think, it, because not single country in the world is perfect. Obviously, there are good and bad things, and like, yeah, like if you are visiting with the fantasy of this country by just seeing those media generated video from the media, you only consume that and then go to the country, then you're going to be disappointed. Come on, you know, like no matter what, you're only seeing the good part, like shiny part, and there are always dark side. no matter where you go. Not everything's gonna be pleasant. Not everyone's gonna be nice to you. If you're just if you go to visiting this country with that bubble, then it's gonna pop, and you're gonna be disappointed.
That's
And
real. That's
from
the real
there,
K-pop.
yeah, I
That's the
think
real K-pop, is the popping of the
that's
bubble once you get there.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. I mean that's true because a lot of I think that's what a lot of foreigners having disappointed from Korea is that once their bubble is popped and see the reality of how really it is. That's just our culture. Whether it's negative or positive, that's my country, my culture. That's nothing we can do. That's a culture. That's a environment there. Either you accept it or you don't. Then just leave. That's how it is. Because no matter where you go, there's gonna be something negative. You know what I mean? Either like the best place, the best city in San Diego, La Jolla. There's something negative about that too. You know what I mean? Where you live.
yeah.
So, like I said, either you accept it and try to understand, and then try to blend, even though it's hard. Yeah, I understand. Especially Korea is strongly one race country, has a strong identity, and it might be really hard for you as a foreigner to be blend in. That's just default. Like, there's nothing we can do because if you love that country, then you have to. I mean, not you have to, but if you love country, if you want to live there, you want to blend into the culture, and that's up to you to try or not. It's not our people who live there to try to accept you. You know what I mean? I think that's
Well,
on you who are visiting as a visitor. I
that's
feel
why
like.
I like my dream is that I actually always feel like as a foreigner, I have a responsibility to Koreans to show them what a respectful foreigner looks like, someone who actually appreciates. And I would think that about any place that I go, but I don't want to live like, I want to live and set up my life there. So that's where I'm taking this perspective. And, so I feel like I need to present myself in a way where Koreans say, actually, Ash is presenting like Ash is valuable. And it's kind of surprising to me maybe because he's a white guy. He's like he's not what we're used to. So not that they like not that they have to adapt to me, but that they are wanting to because there's something about me that makes them feel like they want to get to know me because I bring something to the table. And I think that's like the thing that I feel is unfair about K-pop and K-culture is that like a lot of people go to Korea wanting to extract that from Korea without actually giving anything back. But Korea is not, I think Korea is one of the most no nonsense cultures that I've ever met. Like you cannot fool Koreans. Korea, like they know what's good. They know they can see your intentions. Like I think Koreans are very like wise in that. Like they even the ones
Nunchi is the because
yeah. So if you're just going there and you're just like in this weird like K fantasy, even though Koreans don't know the word Koreaboo, I've had this conversation with my Korean guy friends. I always ask them like, hey, like, that foreigner girl that you were seeing or something, like, what do you think about her? And they literally all like, it's 90% of the time. It's like, yeah, she's just like obsessed with Korean guys. She has like so like, it is what it is. Like, I'm just enjoying that part of it, but they're aware, they're fully aware. They don't know the word Koreaboo, but they know that that's what's happening. And, so it's like, if you want to be taken seriously in Korea and you want to live there and have a positive experience, it's a country it's creating a positive future for itself through hard work, through like people are working their fucking asses off to build something.
Yeah.
If you're not going there with that same energy, then it's like, what are you doing? I think in their minds, like, what are you contributing to this that we're doing here. And maybe if you happen to be able to find a way to contribute, maybe it's not even a guarantee, but maybe that will really open some doors for you and get you to be not accepted as a Korean, but accepted as a foreigner in Korea. That's my take. And that's kind of like where I live in my head when I'm there, you know?
I think that's a really great point. As a foreigner visiting Korea, and yeah, same goes to me. Like as a Korean living in US, I'm trying to respect our culture. I think I've said in one of my video on TikTok too, but I don't want other people to have a wrong idea of Koreans. So I want to leave. I'm trying my best to leave to the at least like a standard, like a polite, a respectful. So like just lead by example, you know. And so I'm trying to be nice and then try not to interrupt any social, rules or laws or whatsoever, and try to keep up with everything. Because I don't want people to have a wrong image of Korea or Koreans. And that should be the.
You don't have...
I feel like that's. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, please.
I think that should be. I mean, not. I can't like say that should be, but I think that would be better as a foreigner to come to other country. Like you need to have a certain type of respect to the culture and people who are living there, and you are just like you mentioned, if you're just visiting as a consumer, not offering anything, then you're not gonna have a positive or good experience.
Well, I think you'll have that experience. You'll have that. You can have those shallow experiences. You can go to Hongdae. You can go to you can do the bucket list of like things you got to do when you go to Korea, the tourist stuff, right? That all that stuff is going to be fine. But as soon as if you try to live there and if you're just trying to unlock the real Korean lifestyle, it's like it's like going to be like opening a door and all this stuff just falls on top of you because you weren't ready for it at all,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, that's like, one perspective is like, you go to a country, you adapt to the culture. The other perspective is like, you go to the country and they should adapt to you. And I feel I hate to say this, but I really feel like a lot of people that go to Korea have that perspective. They think, and I see it all the time in like the Instagram and TikToks and shit. It's like people just saying like it pissed me off. The other day I saw this video of this person who was like, literally they said, in Korea, it's kind of rude to eat on the subway, to like open a bag of shrimp chips. But, if you're going to do it, then just live your life. And I'm like, what kind of message is that sending? Like, I don't know, maybe in the US, that's like the way to think. Like you don't care about anyone else's feelings or perspectives or opinions, but like, what's the point of being in Korea? That's such a like distinct, unique, special, ancient culture that has all these rules and all this stuff going on in it already. What's the point of going there if your perspective is don't follow the rules? Like, what are you trying to achieve from that? I find it, I get passionate about it again, because like, I don't know why Korea is my place. It just is in my heart. And that's just the reality I have to live with. So I'm here, I'm trying to make it work, and I'm seeing these problems. I'm seeing this happen in front of me, and I'm like, what is the solution to this? How do I navigate my life as a foreigner in Korea, but be positive and add, And every time I see that, it kind of hurts, because it's like, shit. Like, I mean, one thing about Koreans is like when you're a Waeguk인, you're not really a Miguk인 or a Yongguk. You're like Jungkook, like you're just a Waeguk, like Waeguk인,
Foreigner.
So I'm worried about if 10 years from now, 99 out of 100 of these foreigners that are coming to Korea are just acting in this kind of way, or even 90 out of 100 are acting in this way that's kind of disrespectful and like not adhering to the local cultures and norms. Koreans are just going to be like, look at me and be like, oh, Waeguk인. Like they're probably just going to think like, this is how he acts, like just like them. And honestly, I wouldn't blame them. I think that's a totally reasonable thing to think. So I'm trying to combat this. Yeah, I'm here. I'm active. I'm communicative to the world. I'm saying like I don't have the answers, but I'm looking for them, and I'm also making PSA like just let's be respectful as foreigners in a foreign country. Let's try to respect the culture and learn about it instead of just try to impose our culture onto what's there. And if you want to, I think also it's important for foreigners like Hebanchon, Itaewon, like if that's the perspective you want to have, then I'd say, yeah, like stick to that area where you have access to being around foreigners who are like you and also like Koreans that kind of want to escape that Korean way and kind of be more like a foreigner, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Itaewon is perfect place. Like you said, that's like foreigners, a bunch of foreigners from different cities, countries, and Korean people who are good at English or who wanna meet foreigners or have
Yeah.
some type of engagement.
Sometimes. It's funny because like I call Itaewon the zoo.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah, I call it the zoo. It's like I learned like after being there for 1 month, I was like, okay, this is not if I want to like live here, like this is not the place because I'll never learn Korean, and also
No.
everyone I meet is gonna just being a foreigner. I can't tell you the amount of times people just come up to me and they're like, I'm 197 centimeters. They're like, wow, it's so tall, and I'm like, what? like why is that? Like why am I being? I feel like I'm like I feel like I'm in a cage. Like I'm being observed by Koreans, and they're like, oh, look at the tall giraffe like walking down the street. Like let's go see the giraffe. And I'm like, but that's Itaewon. That's Itaewon.
Yeah, that's true. It's like a Korean living in LA, K-Town. It's like you would never learn English.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like there were a lot of people that I met in Itaewon that did not have any intention on learning Korean.
Yeah, they just love like the city of Itaewon, like Hana, I guess.
It was Haebancheon is where I was at the time. But yeah, it's there's a lot to unpack. So when you ask like who are the people who love Korea not for K-pop, K-drama, I'm definitely one of those people. Although I have to say, I fucking love New Jeans.
Dude, tell me about it. I hope they come back soon.
Really?
I mean, they're good. I mean,
Dude.
I don't know if you know what's going on with them. I don't know all the specifics, but they have a issue with the company, and I don't know whole detail, but they don't seem to make music anymore. I don't know what's going on, to be honest, but hopefully.
I mean, to be honest, I have a hard time telling a lot of K-pop groups apart by their voices because I think a lot of K-pop female artists try to reach like the same sound from their voice. But the music for New Jeans, I think the producers that they allowed them to work with were so different. Like I was in a nightclub and I'd never heard about K-pop before I came to Korea. So like, I guess maybe I had like listened to some K-pop songs like Psy K-pop.
Yes, yeah.
So like I had heard like Gangnam Style and stuff like that, but I never like listened to K-pop. So I was in a nightclub and New Jeans came on, and I was like, I thought it was going to be like a foreigner song. Actually, it was the beginning of was it Super Shy or something? But it's like a drum and bass. I love electronic music. It's like drum and bass actually. It's not even like pop music. And I'm like, damn, like, what is this song? It's like the energy.
It's super catchy.
Yeah, super catchy. Very very traditional K-pop music. And so I thought it was very creative, very cool, and that's how I started to listen to New Jeans and get involved. Like, then I always try to send to my friends who are visiting. I'm like, if you want to like get introduced to K-pop, like I'll just send them the playlist from New Jeans. Just listen to this.
I mean, yeah, New Jeans is really good. Not only their songs, but I think their like dances and all that. And they're like really like small little kids, you know, like
I haven't really seen. I've only seen one of the videos on like a projector, but
mhm.
it was what was it, the Oh My God song? Where they had yeah,
OMG, yeah.
they're
All the
wearing
like
like
white like hospital
right.
gowns or something like that.
Yeah, very creative. It was very cool.
Yeah, I think the production team or you know whoever created director was doing a good job. I think for them.
It's so sad that they're not making music.
Yeah, hopefully they come back somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and since then, you mentioned rap before. Since then, I've like been trying to learn more about Korean music outside of like just like normal Korean music.
Hmm.
And so I've been listening to a lot of Beanzino.
Oh yeah, he's one of the good rapper.
Yeah.
You know, he's a really like I think he's really like artist.
Hmm.
Have you heard his album like 21, 23?
What's the
It's
cover?
old. Here, let me.
I have a lot of his songs just saved on my.
Yeah, it's a like a camel, I think.
Yeah, the camel. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. That
yeah.
that
Aquaman.
that
I
one
listened
is
to the.
yeah, that one is really good. His songs are really good. So the one that I told you about this rapper, Toki.
Hmm.
So him, Toki, Benzino, and there's a rapper also named called The Quiet. They were in the same company called Illionaire, and they were dismissed like a few years ago, I think. And then they're all like making own their music, but they used to be in the same company.
I was gonna look it up now, but I'm just gonna hit you up later, and I'll ask
Okay.
you to send me the stuff. But yeah, like that's like Korea has so much more to offer than K-pop. I don't even know. Honestly, I never talked to foreigners about this, so I don't even know. But like if I go to noraebang, like I'm singing ballads pretty much 100% of the time. Like
Hmm.
I think Korean ballads are awesome.
Yeah.
And like actually like they really remind me too of like my mom listening to like her music like when I was growing up. Like a lot of Latinos also love ballads, like Mexican ballads, Colombian ballads, Peruvian ballads. Like I listened to a lot of that stuff growing up. So it really feels like listening to like my mom's music. And
Hmm.
so I've even like, I've learned some like do you know Ink John Don't Worry? It's like anyway.
이적? 걱,
이적
걱정하지
이
말아요.
맞아요. 네네네.
Yeah.
That like even that's the first song I learned, I memorized, and I would sing at the noraebang.
Nice. I mean, we love going to Norebang.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Koreans.
Yeah,
I love.
it's dude, it's again like okay, like why do I want to live in Korea? The idea that a culture is obsessed with karaoke to me is like perfect. I love music. I'm not a good singer, but I love to sing. And the idea that I get to just go anytime, literally, I'll just do it. I'll just go to a
By
Norebang.
yourself too.
Yeah, go to a Norebang just by myself. Just scream some Linkin Park or some shit, even like like whatever. Just
Yeah.
release, your tension and shit. It's so fucking cool that that's part of society. I love that.
Yeah, we love Norebang. I don't know why. Like it's always the thing. Like you go drink, and then go to Norebang.
Hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much yeah. That's what I feel like most times if I go out on Apgujeong a lot, and when I go to Apgujeong, I don't really go to Norebang because I feel like that crowd is not Norebang crowd.
Mm.
But pretty much anywhere else that I go out, like if we go to Seongsu or like Itaewon or I've never been to Hongdae, but I'm sure it would be the same. Like those kinds of like in those places, if you go out at night or Jongno or Jamshir, like usually end the night with Norebang, and
Mhm.
it's just yeah, I miss
Yeah,
Korea.
you can. Yeah, you can. Because it's there is a Norebang here in U.S., but it's really expensive.
Oh, 진짜.
Yeah,
Well,
and there's one in San
In
Diego.
Cape Town, there's like in LA, there's like tons of them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's ton, but I never been one in LA, but I've been in San Diego, but it's pretty expensive.
Hmm.
compared to
What's it
Korea.
called?
They just have a like Korean people like own the 노래방. They just call it 노래방,
Oh,
but
okay.
they do it with the they probably say karaoke, I think, in
Hmm.
America. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
on the what do you call it? 간판? They said a 노래방.
Oh, I mean, I'm imagining that I think Korea is still has a long way to go in terms of like it's how it's going to pick up in pop culture around the world. I still think we're just seeing the beginning of the globalization of Korea's pop, culture. And I think a lot of these things, I think norebang is going to become a big thing. I feel like 5 years, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the world in 5 years, like AI and all that shit. But
Yeah,
assuming that things go at a reasonable pace and things don't totally blow up in our faces and go in a crazy direction, I feel like norebang could be a thing in the next 2 years, 2, 3 years. Like, you know, in fact, even just now, like Netflix number two movie all time, K-pop movie. Like,
yeah.
what is like something's coming next? Is it a K-pop group? Is it a series? I mean, Squid
I
Games just happened.
I think I'm not sure if it's Netflix, but I saw they're advertising this show with the Psy, and
Oh,
it
really?
was I forgot what singer it was from US, and then they're making the Korean group and the US group and doing kind of like battle or something like that. It's like Korean idol groups and US idol or idol. I don't know if it's singer or
Bro,
dancer, and they're making the show right now.
that's like an instant hit. Forget it. That's the world is not ready for that. I mean, actually, to be honest, I'm so curious about that because I grew up listening to American pop music. Like I listened to like the Backstreet Boys and Sync, like those boy bands were my whole childhood. And
Hmm.
I've always thought like, okay, Korea is basically just doing boy bands, but like way better than it's ever been done before. So I don't even know if these fuckers, if Americans have a chance, dude. I can't imagine, especially with like all
Yeah,
the influence. Like,
yeah. I don't know what it's gonna be, but we'll see. I I, I just remember seeing the clip of them advertising, but I don't remember the whole video.
the world. So yeah, I think like I'm curious. I'm just so curious about how all this plays out in Korea, how Koreans, because I think even Koreans are kind of critical of K-pop and K-drama, right? Like,
Yeah, I think because K-pop, it's been the really business, really good structured business in Korea for a long time. It was just not noticed until um, like those groups started getting popular. Like Big Bang as a star was like kind of popular. And the BTS it was like a bomb. That was BTS opened the gate. Let's say Big Bang cracked the door, and then BTS opened the door. I think that's how it is. And then ever since then, all the K-pop groups only kind of downside. How I see it from Korea, from Korean perspective, is now K-pop is targeting audience globally. So they make music with all English and more like a pop. Um, it's actually like a pop, and then it's just like Korean people are dancing and then singing in English. You
right?
know,
Not some people aren't even Korean, right? Some of those
yeah,
K-pop stars are not even Korean.
that's been a thing that it's some people are not Korean, especially Chinese, or they're either Chinese, Japanese, Taiwanese, or like people from Hong Kong. Or it was mostly like that until like new generation K-pop groups are like all over the place, like Philippines, Vietnamese, or like something like that.
It's amazing. It's a international sensation, huge market. Actually, like as a foreigner, dude, I was thinking like literally, I've been wanting to start a new business for a while, so I was thinking like, what am I going to do next? And K-pop as a business was like at the top of my mind. I was like, maybe I can go. I don't know anything about it from like the music, but maybe there's some way I can produce something or manufacture something, or but I can't do it because of, well, there's a lot involved, but I was looking into the intellectual property rights. A big problem is getting rights to print like or use, the names of these K-pop stars is limited based on your relationship with the company and you're getting the intellectual property rights. So
Oh, really?
yeah, like I can't. So Latin America, Mexico specifically has like a $1.2 billion K-pop market. It's the fourth or third largest K-pop market in the world is Mexico
Really?
City. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I lived there. I lived in Mexico City for 2 years. So I was like, oh shit, like I speak fluent Spanish. I speak some Korean. Like I should definitely do like something about this. But so I started doing the research. I started getting in contact with people. And the big blocker right now is that I don't have a reputation as a merchandiser, as a seller of goods to get the license from Hive or whoever to manufacture
Uh,
the goods with their faces on it. You know,
uh,
the only
so
option
you
would
need
be
to
to do it
have those.
illegal, and I'm not
I
going
see.
to do that. So
Yeah, that's true. So
yeah,
in order to reach that, it's kind of hard for you, I guess.
I think Koreans probably want to keep it for Koreans, if I was going to guess.
Um, I see. I see.
But but
I
you
mean,
know,
if you see, dude, their idols like merch, the market is. Sorry, my AirPods died, but
that's okay.
the market is crazy. So like even the company by itself, they make so much money by just printing out this like sweaters when they go to concert. Like those sweater is the quality is not even that good, but that's like hundred something dollars, like $200. People would buy it, like getting lined up by it. All those like random box with the pictures and that's crazy. So companies never gonna give up on that because they would make so much money. The what is it called? The light stick.
Hmm.
It's like $70-$80 with the delivery fees and everything. So that's a huge business for a company. The way Hive could reach where they at right now with the BTS, because the BTS is number one boy band in the world, entire world.
Yeah.
So the whole building in Seoul they made by BTS. Everything like literally BTS like made the building of the Hive and all the stock because the Hive already surpassed all those like it used to be top three companies when it comes to K-pop was JYP, SM, and what is it called? JYP, SM, and YG. And Big Bang is from YG. And now Hive surpassed all those three companies. Even all those three companies' stocks are not even Hive stocks.
Wow.
I think Hive took over SM, I believe. I'm not sure, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so they are not gonna give up those merch
Hmm.
from their artists.
Yeah, I guess that they're just going to establish like some sort of global um, presence then, because
Yeah, it,
like,
they even made their app called the Weavers, which is the Hive artists. They can freely do the um like an online video. They can just use their phone to like live talking to their fans. And even then, like they get a millions, 100 millions of views,
hmm,
like at the time the live, which is crazy.
that's
You know
crazy.
the impact that they're making. So whatever they do, the merch, all the merch is the companies try to like manage and make more and more profit.
It's a wild world, and it's something that Korea has. I mean, clearly, the upsides for Korea are obvious. Um, the downsides are less obvious, but honestly, maybe not even downsides depending on who you're talking to. Um, but hey, we've been at this for 2 hours and 30 minutes. What do you
I
think?
know
Should we?
that's what I noticed too.
Yeah. Also because yeah, without the headphones, we're gonna hear the feedback, so we might as well call it on a good note.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna stop. You can hang out for a sec. I'm gonna just I'll say thanks everyone for watching, anyone who is here. And we'll put an edited version of this live on YouTube within the next 2-3 weeks. So look out for it. And thank you so much, YoungBo, to literally I think of you as a rapper every time I think of your name.
I wish I was a
YoungBo
rapper.
to come on the show. And
Yeah, thank you
hang
for
out.
having me.
Yeah.
It was really fun.